consistent is very, very hard, but that's the key to accomplishing your goals. And there's typically 4 areas that we have a very hard time being consistent in. So first of all, right off the bat, I want to talk about, when I say the word consistency, I do not mean perfection in any way. I'm all about consistency. I feel like that being consistent is the only way to reach your goals, because it's really easy for us to stick to something that has a lot of rules and regulations for a short period of time, but it's really hard for us to do the thing that is going to catapult us into the results that we want over and over and over and over again. And those are typically the little bitty things that are really, really hard to do. The 4 things that I've seen that most people have issues being consistent in are the eating, the exercising, the planning or preparation, and patience. So those 4 areas are very, very key to being consistent overall and actually achieving what you want. So when it comes to your eating, the reason why eating is going to be so hard to be consistent with, especially in the beginning, is because you're changing up some things, there's some new things going on, and maybe if we've had a history of dieting, we're used to categorizing foods, we're used to like good foods and bad foods. And when you come in with that mindset, it's really hard to stay consistent, for the simple fact that when there's a lot of rules and regulations, typically if you can't remember the rules, then you don't know what to do. So it's really hard if you have a lot of rules piled up, or you kind of feel like once you're kind of away from the rules, it's like when you're like a teenager, or like when it's like summer break, like when there's no school, there's no rules, and you're just like, it's all out, do whatever you want. And you think that you screw up your consistency. So when you categorize foods like that, when you have good foods, bad foods, then you typically tend to feel like, well, I screwed up, so now I just may as well keep doing whatever this thing is that I'm doing, and I'll start my diet over tomorrow or on Monday or whatever. So eating is always going to be hardest, because you have to find something that works for you, that helps you to stay consistent. Not something that works short term, or that works for your aunt's, sister's, best friend's, baby mama's cousin. It needs to work for you, which means if they are eating foods that maybe in a perfect world, the 20-year-old version of you may have been able to do, the one that like didn't have any kids and wasn't married and didn't really have like a stressful job or anything. Maybe if that version of you was able to do that thing, or it's like this diet that seems like, romanticized, that you could really do, but you can't, then it's not for you. It doesn't matter how great it is for somebody else. It doesn't matter if it's the newest, greatest thing all over the internet. It doesn't matter if, this person who has like, oh, look at them, they look perfect, they have the body I want, they have beautiful skin, they have all these things that you want, but it doesn't work for you. So that's gonna be a really key element to even starting the diet, is making sure that the diet right up front is gonna have elements that still remind you of you. So you don't necessarily want to look at it from that aspect of what somebody else is doing, or what seems like it would be so perfect, but you can't do it. Because the perfect diet that you can't stick to is not perfect. The diet that's like so-so that you can stay consistent in is always going to trump the perfect diet that you can't stick to. So when it comes to your eating, make sure that you are finding something that works for you. Don't make it about the good foods, bad foods. Don't make it about, like, I can't have this thing, or I can't have that. Allow yourself to have most things in moderation, unless there is something that you are truly convicted of that you don't want to eat. But don't take someone else's personal conviction, their religious affiliation, or their, disease, a way that they have to eat based on health issues, and make it a diet for you, because their motivation for sticking to that thing is going to be a lot different. So for them, it's going to be something that's easier to do. If they have celiac disease, it's going to be a lot easier for them to stay away from gluten than if you, who are not allergic to gluten, decides to stay away from it. You're still going to be tempted by it. They have a higher level of motivation because they have a different life scenario. Or the same thing with someone who is, for religious reasons, staying away from certain foods. Maybe they end up losing weight or something as a byproduct, or because of there's other things going on, but you want to make sure that that is not your reason. Your reason needs to be your reason. It needs to work for you. If it does not work for you, then you will not be able to stay consistent. You need to find something that works for you, and don't get, there is a such thing as trying to be too healthy, and dietitians know that it is called orthorexia. And I have a lot of dietitian friends, and even they warn against having the good food, bad food mentality. So it really can take you too far in the other direction. Not saying that you shouldn't try to eat as healthy as possible, but just watch out that it's not creating this thing in you that you feel like you can't get what you want without being perfect. Giving yourself the grace to be human, giving yourself, you know, like knowing that it's not gonna be an overnight thing. It's not gonna be something that happens, you know, every day. There's gonna be parts of your life, it's gonna be the time that maybe you have to, you know, you're on a road trip and you run out of food and you gotta stop at a convenience store and get something, or, you know, you're at your kid's basketball game and you're starving, you've been running around all day and you ate all your, whatever the snacks were that you had in your purse, and you just like really want the nachos or something like that. Like, it's not the end of the world, and that doesn't mean that you fell off. It doesn't mean that you are not still on plan. It needs to be a part of the plan. You need to know that you can do those things, and you don't have to start your diet over Monday. Start over moments happen at every single meal, and that is what consistency is all about. It's about knowing that every meal is the time to start over. So, and when you do make those decisions to eat something, just make a decision to do it. It doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, the chocolate fell in my mouth. It needs to be like, I want that chocolate, I'm gonna eat it. So that it doesn't have to turn into like a binge, or like, oh my goodness. Like, I pre-plan that stuff. Like, I know if I'm going somewhere that has something that is like, that's kind of irresistible to me, and I just plan for it, and I make the decision to eat it because it's my body and I can't, and I know that I'm on point the other 80% of the time, so it's okay. And I know that that doesn't mean that I'm a horrible person or that I'm about to get fat again or anything like that. So be patient with yourselves. Understand that true progress takes time. I think because often we want things to happen immediately, that's why we feel like we have to like stick to it perfectly. But when you realize that this is something, that this is your life and it's the way that it's going to be, then you will have more patience with yourself, because you'll understand the need to be realistic in everything that you are planning. If you're curious about the Eat More to Weigh Less lifestyle, make sure that you click the little button on the side, I don't know which side it was, and click that link in my bio, em2wl.com/start, and we'll tell you how to get started. I'll send you a whole video series and free eating guide and all that stuff, so that if you have been subject to over dieting and a crashed metabolism, we'll let you know how to get it back on track and how to eat more and weigh less. Or at least look like you do, so you look better. So all right, guys, I will talk to you later. And like I said, if you want more information, go to em2wl.com/start, or just go to eatmore2wayless.com, and pretty much everything you need is on there for free. So talk to you guys later.